Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. The Vikings are allergic to first half touchdowns, takeaways, and apparently wins.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan NFL. As a professional allergenist, I would say that McCarthy is specifically allergic to accurate throws.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Vikings favorite at home, easy money line. Take the other team every time.
Johnson, former NFL and Gophers wide receiver. And I was just watching Max Brosmer warm up for most of the game. I was wondering at some point, was he going to go in?
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Welcome to the Vikings Squad Show Reaction Edition, Overreaction Edition on the number one sports podcast network. It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Vikings lose 19-17 to the Chicago Bears. You can hear us for the next hour on Locked On Vikings, streaming live on the YouTube channel, or get us on the audio feed wherever you get your podcasts. We're brought to you by FanDuel today. New customers can bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. JJ McCarthy was awful, and then he was heroic, and then in the end, it didn't matter. Heartbreak at the buzzer. We break down McCarthy's day that could have been partially salvaged had the Vikings come up with one special teams play, one defensive play at the end. Is the season over at 4-6? We'll tackle that holistic question, and also we'll get into the nitty-gritty, some of the plays that mattered most, the defensive performance, and everything Vikings-Bears on today's Squad Show. This comeback win, had it happened, Ron, would have been nice. It would have been a nice diversion from the first 3.5 quarters. It would have felt really good. It would have kept this season on some sort of life support. At 5-5, you would have been right in the division. And now, as it is, we get to face the realities of what most of that game showed us, was that this offense is broken. The second-year quarterback is broken. The defense is so-so. There are blunders at inopportune times. This is not a good football team, and they deserved today's result.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when you think about the way this game played out, to start the game, it was pretty blah. You know, everybody in the press box. I mean, I was talking to Chris Carter even, and Chris Carter was like, JJ McCarthy is a Michigan guy. So I already had to figure out how to cheer for him. And then he's like, and then you have the nerve to go out there and play like this. It's double hard. Not only am I cheering for you because you went to Michigan, now I'm cheering for you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a quarterback. And he's like, it's a double edge, it's a double sword to the heart, the way he's playing and the fact that he went to Michigan. And so, literally, it was just silent. It was very eerie, to be honest. The Bears side, their media side was like, oh, here we go again. The Bears are going to find a way to lose. The Vikings side is like, oh, what the heck is going on? I mean, it was two teams that I don't think either team earned that win. I think it just had to, God's like, somebody's got to win this. So, you know what? Here you go, Bears. And the Vikings all but had it. And then special teams yet again. You can't just blame it on special teams, though, but special teams. The same way the Bears gave up a big run on their kickoff return to Miles Price, the Vikings turned around and same thing. And Tyler Batty kind of was out of position. Tavierre Thomas, got blocked and pushed back, and he couldn't make the play. It's almost like, as a special teams coach, do I just say kick it out the back of the end zone here? Why even give them a chance to return the ball? Go for the touchback. I really don't understand that thought process versus giving up what happened.
I get that one, Ron, because that nowadays with a 35-yard touchback, that's way too close to field goal range. I think that the move was you just try to tackle him at the 20-25. I mean,
how about just cover a kickoff like everybody else?
Yeah,
can?
I just feel like that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
I'm always a fan of kicking it out. I would
just be slightly below average in kickoff coverage. You don't even have to
do your job. How about?
Yeah,
even if it is the 35-yard line. I mean, to Ron's point, that does force the Bears to get probably 2 first downs and a little more. as it was,
That's one
they
dagger.
really
It's
did.
easy.
They could have tried it without any. They didn't get one. They got 9 yards. They could have, come up with a little better stop on third down. Maybe you force a 56-yard field goal that tails all the way left and started sneaking in. I thought that kick was no good too. But when you give up a play that explosive at that point in the game, just when it looked like you were going to scrape through this thing, Arif, it just felt it felt apropos for the day where your defense got run all over, your receivers drop balls right and left, your quarterback we'll go deep into McCarthy, but special teams just needed to do its part.
Yeah, and I understand like being frustrated with the defense, right? Because I think the thing about the defense is that missed tackles stick in our mind, right? Whereas something like a throwaway doesn't, right? The defense on aggregate, despite all these missed tackles, performed above average. This is a bad Chicago Bears game, points-wise and per play-wise and whatever, right? And so, yeah, obviously, especially in that final drive, especially in that first touchdown drive, they should have tackled better. You can always do better. But I think, the offensive positioning, the special teams, God, Jesus, the special teams. It could have been so dramatically better in so many ways that when you have good performances, right? When you put pressure, even if you're not getting sacks until late, when you put pressure on the quarterback, when you're covering receivers, like it's just like something is a weak link in the chain. It's always falling apart, and obviously it's like very frustrating, right? Nobody wants to hear, hey, this thing secretly did well in the middle of a heartbreaking loss, right? And so I get kind of just not wanting to hear it, but like aside from the defensive tackles, there were like some pretty good performances on defense. I don't want to ignore that, but man, it's so frustrating to see a good, like they had 16 points for most of the game, right? It's just to see like a good defensive effort put to waste because it wasn't Levi Drake Rodriguez's day, right? It just wasn't, right? Or you had to play Jalen Redmond on the outside, so you're just not getting that penetration in the middle. That sucks, right? But it just feels like a lot of this is on the special teams. A lot of it's on the offense.
Most of it's on the offense.
Yeah,
I mean,
this game's on the offense. I mean,
yeah,
we can be frustrated with the hey, those missed tackles, those are bad, and like the defensive meeting room is not going to go into the room and say, well, that one's on the offense, we're good. No, they're going to probably get real mad about the tackles. Like that is absolutely an issue. It's just so overshadowed by having a ball thrower who can't throw the ball. Like that's just such a glaring thing that it's not what anybody's going to talk about. And that doesn't mean that we're absolving them of the issue. It's just we got bigger fish to fry.
Right, yeah. And that's the thing is like when you're like a player, you don't go into a meeting room trying to figure out who's the most to blame, at least on a good team, right? You're going in
not
to
out loud. You don't do it out loud.
Right, yeah.
You might do it.
Of course, right? Like I mean, I've heard it in locker, like I get it, right? But like you're going into meeting rooms ideally to figure out what you could have done to do better.
Correct.
Right. And so like they're going to not ideally they're not going to talk about very much, hey, McCarthy should have like thrown the ball better, right? Or hey, the offensive linemen, they really have to like punish these guys jumping up to get bad. Like, sure, those are all things that are true, but tackle, right? And like that's kind of like how, but like at a broad sense, our job is to kind of figure out what went well and what didn't go well. And yeah, tackle better, obviously. But like the primary focus of our analysis should be on what was happening on the offense and not just JJ McCarthy, who obviously had a bad day, even when you account for these drops, even when you account for what you might call miscommunications, right? Even when you account for, the offensive line getting pushed back. He just had a bad day, a catastrophically bad day, but the offensive lineman did get pushed back. And while I think quarterbacks are primarily responsible for batted passes, right? The offensive linemen do have a part to play in that, right? You gotta chop those hands down or punch them in the kidneys or something when they're jumping up, right? No, that's a thing. I'm not making that up. That's a thing. Receivers have to catch the ball, right? When it's a catchable pass. Some of these were difficult to catch. Sorry, that's the job. You're like a first round pick. Catch it, right? So like a lot of elements in the offense went wrong. We can say McCarthy was the primary issue, but we'd be doing ourselves a disservice not identifying some of these other elements.
But this game, though, is it's one way to look at it that this is a microcosm of the season. It's like it's one of those Netflix movies where the lips don't match the words because it's like dubbed over.
Yeah.
And the very first scene is like a car explosion, somebody gets shot, somebody gets kidnapped, and you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good. And then the middle of the movie, you're just like, what did I just watch? And then at the very end, they finally tie it together, and they're like, oh, like that's what McCarthy feels like. Like it feels like it started out really good, and then we're like, what is going on? And then he throws an interception, throws a touchdown at the very end of this game. And yet again, people are like, oh, well, did you see that last drive? Like, maybe I'll watch episode 2. Like it's just
it's like golf, Ron. It's golf.
Wait, that's
it's
so good.
That's
you
really good,
you play double bogey golf for 17 holes, and then you get a birdie on the 18th, and it gets you back to the course the next week. That's the JJ McCarthy experience.
That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, and Ron's on a heater because I think the last 2 random pop culture references actually hit for me, which is pretty rare. I think we're on a streak. We got to keep this up. This is good.
But I did tweet this out though. I literally said before that drive. Now it may have been the start of may have been like 8 to 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and I said Kevin O'Connell, or maybe I even said the second half. I said Kevin O'Connell needs to go up tempo offense for JJ McCarthy, spread the receivers out, and give him a simple offense where the read is predetermined based off who's guarding who, and that's what the 2-minute drill is for him. I don't know why he hasn't figured this out, but JJ McCarthy works better when he doesn't have to deal with long drawn out plays and throws to where he's already like the deep ball to Jordan Addison, it almost got intercepted, but the other guy like crushed his own teammate. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't make that throw, Justin Jefferson was wide open on the very first dig route. Like if when Justin Jefferson came open, if he throws it now, Justin Jefferson's open. It's almost like he knows the play and how he practiced it all week, and he's like, I got to do it that way. And that's why it's just so weird to me.
It is frustrating because, we talk about like, hey, this is like a deep throwing offense. He is clearly an intermediate thrower. That's where he has done his best work. Why don't we kind of like focus on that? And what's really frustrating is that the intermediate routes are there and they're open and they're operating within the timing of the offense, but he isn't operating with that timing. So his deep to short reads are taking too long, focusing on that first read, right? And he's missing some of these intermediate. And like now the discussion has to be like, we have to put training wheels on this guy, get rid of the shots that make those intermediate passes a little bit more open, right? Because you're running clear out so that the intermediates can get open. And you're saying, hey, we can't actually even have those deep routes because he's going to be too caught up in the eye candy over there, which is what we want the defense to do, not the quarterback. And so now you got to run an intermediate offense that is probably not going to be as open because it's more congested now. But that is where he's like you said, that the no huddle offense at the very end was working, right? And it's just kind of frustrating that like you have to put training wheels on this quarterback in order for anything to go well. And as soon as you do, the defense will probably figure out like, well, the training wheels are on. So now we can put more in the box.
It felt like it would have been a really good day for JJ McCarthy to use his legs. And he has legs. We've seen them operate. We've seen them buy time, occasionally run productively. This would have been a really good day.
They should have thrown him another pass.
It's they empty the clip on JJ McCarthy routes run. Like the Caleb Williams mobility thing, it just is it's every single drop back, it's a threat. And that's not JJ McCarthy, but it would be nice if that was a viable way for him to bail himself out. Okay, the pocket's muddy. He's clearly uncomfortable on deep throws from a muddy pocket. He's stepping into blockers and like almost throwing him. He's short arming these interceptions on plays where he's like unaware that there are people backing up into him. It was just really, really uncomfortable. I want him out of the pocket. And some of that's got to be on him to like identify the outlet. How do I get free? How do I buy some extra time when it's just not working? And I don't know if Kevin O'Connell did him any favors in that regard either. Braun, your thoughts, on that and just a little more of JJ's day.
Yeah, honestly, the like coordination of the offense and stuff. There were a couple of moments where, that wasn't quite timed up right or whatever. But to me, there's a stat that Kevin Seifert put out, and it was before the last drive. So I don't know if it's still as extreme, but that like his missed throw percentage was like 30%, which the 22% average he went into the game with is disgusting. 30 is on a whole nother level. The man could not throw. And I don't know if it was because his hand was a little hurt or whatever, or if he was just so much more amped up than he was before, or like whatever excuse you wanted. The dude just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Just couldn't throw. The ball thrower couldn't throw the ball. And there's almost something, if I really want to talk myself into it, comforting about like, okay, things are organizing a little bit more, and now it's just an accuracy issue. Almost feels more solvable than, oh, well, nobody knows what anybody is supposed to do, and it's chaos. Like, maybe there is a way to like talk yourself into that being progress, but like he is getting more and more inaccurate with each game, and you can't run an offense that way. The guys were open. The throws were there. The blocking was incredible. The pass protection was insane. I don't think we gave up a single sack. It was there. You just put the ball where you mean to put it, and the Vikings put up 30 in this game. Like and we're having a great time.
6. It depends where you look. A couple of us here clocked the Vikings at 6 drops, or if not drops, catchable balls.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Depending on how you feel about the Jefferson one.
You expect Thielen to get a couple really bad ones. Hawkinson, Addison,
Aaron Jones.
That one could have been catastrophic. And a lot of people in the comments pointing that out. When we come back, we'll raise the question of clock management. If you would have tweaked the way KOC handled the final drive, and of course, get into this Vikings run defense that was porous again today. 19-17, Vikings lose. Back on the Squad Show in a minute. We are brought to you today by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch, getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. It's pretty nice. You don't be changing phone numbers in this day and age. You get the same quality service as before, fraction of the price. So if you're ready to say yes to saying no, make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Squad Show rolls on today. It's back tomorrow morning for the morning after reaction. Luke Inman, who was at the game, should join us then. Trying to fill in gallantly for Luke Inman, who's been he's been doing Gophers losses, Timberwolves losses this weekend. He needed a break.
All kinds of losses.
So he went to the game in person and witnessed it in person. Okay, so JJ McCarthy didn't have a completed pass, I don't think, until the final drive. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he did. It happened very, very late in the game, in the second half.
No completed passes until the final. Yeah, that's correct.
McCarthy goes 85 yards and in a minute, right? Or no, like a minute and a half. I've got a cellular phone that tells me these things. It was a 10-play, 85-yard, 2-minute, 24-second drive. Yeah. Vikings have the ball with about 56 seconds to go. 1st and 10 at the 15. Bears have 3 timeouts. I said out loud on that play, love to see a run here. Number one, you've been running the crap out of the ball for a second straight week. So you might score. I mean, you might score running the ball. McCarthy has been skittish all game. You're in a tight area of the field, Ron. I don't know if I love having him, having to rely solely on his arm to get you this touchdown. But I would have loved to run some clock. I would have loved to make the Bears use a timeout or 2. And maybe it's a moot point because of their eventual kickoff return. But I would have, in a best case scenario, I would have liked to finagle that ending and give the Bears nothing left. How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing is patience. Like Kevin O'Connell lacks patience. I mean, this entire season, he's only had, 11 play drives that are longer. I think 11 or 13 might be the number. Play drives longer than 10 plays. So 10 plays or more, he's only had 11 to 13 of those drives. He has no patience for trying to matriculate down the field. He has no patience for taking time off at times. And the one thing I noticed, honestly, I'm not mad at the play because it had been so bad before. It had been anemic the entire game. And even that back shoulder fastball, like if the cornerback plays it wrong, he is absolutely screwed in this. And so, that's kind of the one way I was looking at it before I get out of here, is that they just don't understand how to slow it down. And even when Jalen Naylor ran out of bounds, you could see him kind of looking like, dang, like I could either turned it up or I could have stayed. Like I don't think there was even a plan of like, hey, this is how much time we have left. Let's do this. It just felt real impatient. Like he's like, man, my quarterback hasn't been good. I haven't, I don't even know if we can score here. I gotta take shots at the end zone every chance I get. This one paid off though. Jordan Addison makes a great back shoulder throw. DB kind of falls even. It looks like Nashawn Wright. So it could have gone a different way. Like if Nashawn Wright put his foot in the ground and actually was able to drive back, that's an interception. That's a third interception in this game. But it just played out perfectly. He threw like Tom Brady said, he threw another fastball at the end of the game, and it was a perfect back shoulder one. But, that's kind of what I want to leave it off with before I get out of here, is just he's got to figure it out. Like he's got to figure it out, because he needs to give him more opportunities to just be simple. It feels like everything's too drawn out and long drawn out.
You're right, Ron. There's linear, or progress is not linear. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. And we've seen the ups and we're seeing the downs right now. And the roller coaster probably continues for the next 7 games too. Thanks a lot, Ron. If you have to go. Yeah. Ron, more post-game duties. I had a kid invasion. I missed if Ron liked the clock management there or not. I know that you beggars can't be choosers. It's been really hard to score touchdowns for this team. So if you score a touchdown which is worth 6 points, and 7 if you kick it in, you take it.
Usually, yeah.
You take it. But 1st and 10. I wanted to run on 1st and 10, because then if you get 7, well, then you can run it on. Then you can comfortably, I think, run it on 2nd down as well. Just like see how the series plays out, because you have 4th down to work with as well. That was my gripe, is that they didn't need that play in that moment.
I think conventional wisdom is that when you're down a touchdown, you kind of don't get the luxury of like being greedy about the clock. They had him on the back foot in this no huddle. It was working. So they just run up and I think they just kind of I think if you like slow it down, run play, let the defense substitute, regroup, you might have a harder time getting it into. So I'm not gonna I get it. Benefit of hindsight, would have been great if they had 40 less seconds, but also that didn't matter anyways, because they were in field goal range before Caleb Williams even touched the ball.
Yeah,
so, again, it just feels a little bit like all of this is a whole bunch of different ways for us to maybe find a way to not ask the special teams to not give up a 57-yard return. Don't give up a 57-yard return. Everything else was normal.
Yeah. So it sounded like, based off of what Tom Brady was saying during the broadcast, that it actually was conventional wisdom to be a little bit slower about the clock, let it drain, not run a play before the 2-minute drill, run on 1st and 10. And okay, I get it. But it felt so, how if a rich person complains about caviar, right? And you're here looking for a microwave burrito. It's just it just doesn't connect. It's like, yeah, Tom Brady, you can choose how to manage that clock if you want, right? I get it. You're confident that you'll convert the next 1st down. Our guy hasn't completed a pass this half, not one. And so I understand that ideally, right, you would manage the clock in such a way there's 3, 8 seconds, whatever, right? And, most ideally, you get that touchdown as the clock expires. We're not in a position to pick and choose when the touchdown occurs. We want the touchdown. We need the microwave burrito from a gas station, and we're not too upset which gas station it's from, right? You can figure out if you, this will connect to you, Luke. You can figure out if you want your beef Wellington, man. When you're in a spot where that is a possibility for you.
When you got a whole Saturday. Yeah, you got the cut.
Do that.
You found it. Right. Good deal on the meat. Yeah.
Do that. And when you pay for it, you can complain if it's not as good as you needed it to be. But now we're rubbing $2 together, hoping there's one microwave burrito out there that has her name on it. So that's where the Vikings offense was.
Vending machine egg salad sandwich, but you got a 3-hour drive coming up. Yep, you need it.
Right, yeah, exactly, right? You have to make choices to score, and then later you can reflect on whether or not you could have scored at a different time. And I think Luke is right. They were in position regardless of the time on the clock, because of how the special teams handled it.
You're right. I'm a big believer in butterfly effect also. I think if the circumstance is different, then the result might be different. Real Yahtzee makes a point, and I missed this along the way. When did the Vikings burn the first time out? What was that?
Early in the second half, they had a some kind of snafu.
Of course,
I want to say
with
like a sub. Yeah, it was like a sideline disorganization issue, which we've had a million of this week.
Right.
I mean, they are not an organized, but like it looked more organized this time than it has. I mean, we had like 4 of those a game before, so just one is
only one false start today.
Only one.
What's the opposite of well-oiled? That's what this offensive operation is. I've got some
dry and chafed
Toyota Camry that like makes weird noises and you go by it, the smoke's coming out blue, and it smells weird.
Don't knock the Camry. That was my car.
Yeah,
for
Camry is actually probably not the car I would have gone to for that one. But I get
well,
what you're saying.
23-year-old. That's the only thing that's going to be around 23 years later.
That's a good point. Dry and chafed, Sam. The offense was dry and chafed.
Yeah, everyone should drive a Mazda. 6.
What? We are.
Yeah, our good partners over
there we
Mazda.
go.
So couple offensive numbers for you. So last year, the Vikings led for more snaps than any team in football, Lions included. Number 1 in the league in playing with the lead. This year, they have the 9th most snaps trailing. That's before today, which is going to add to the number. 9th most snaps trailing this year. They have 6 out of 10 games without a first half TD. That is in like the first half line. Got to be one of the best bets in football against the Vikings. That is
that's like why I'm leading in the betting contest.
Actually,
seriously.
Yeah.
The only teams that have less first half TDs than the Vikings are the Jets and the Titans. Inexplicable.
That's proper company. This is a bottom 5 team. I've been saying it since the Chargers game. It's a bottom 5 team. They're
when you think about the way they've won the games they've won, that is not you can absolutely have that debate. The fact that they trailed for 3 quarters against Chicago and stormed back. They stormed back to beat the Browns. The Lions game by far, and the Bengals game too. 2 good efforts. 2 good efforts this year. Bengals and Lions. 2 wins they maybe don't deserve, and a bunch of losses they do deserve. Aaron Jones today was clearly made the fulcrum of the offense. Steady diet of Aaron Jones, very effective on the ground. And KOC, guys, he called the game exactly as the critics suggested he should. He ran it often on first down and 10. Also, a lot of times second and long, he was willing to run the ball. He ran it on 3rd and short most of the time. There was one notable 3rd and 2 where McCarthy threw them out of it. But he did what people wanted, and I felt like it kind of worked. But when the quarterback was so scattered that there was no winning in that, whether it's short yardage, long,
they had more yards per carry than they had yards per attempt. This is Adrian Peterson, Christian Ponder territory. Like that. Like that's not good. You can't live there. Like, yeah, I agree that I'm happier that they had a more appropriate run pass balance, and specifically in spots where it made a lot of sense to run the ball, aside from maybe 1 or 2 specific plays. That's true for any play caller, so whatever. But like you gotta throw the ball better.
You can't fix an offense by balancing the run and pass more. That's what I've been saying for like 9 years now. Run pass ratio doesn't matter, and they fixed it. And look, the offense still sucks.
Who could have seen that coming?
That's not what it's about. Here's what I think they did that made things work better if the quarterback could actually hit the broadside of a barn, which ruined everything. But it did, like, the timing was better because they took a lot of the extra window dressing out of some of those plays
and stuff like that.
They still had enough so it wasn't static and boring, but it was like a much better timed offense from everybody. And I think even including the release of the ball, there were a couple that were late, like the one Arif was talking about that was should have been an interception, but 2 Bears ran into each other. That one was late, and Tom Brady called it out. Like there were a couple like that, but not in any kind of oh my God, they have no idea how to time the ball, how to time these passes, like it has been for the entire rest of the season. And I do think that as bad as it feels, that is something that you can build on. You just need McCarthy to be able to throw the ball. He can't throw the ball. It's gonna be really hard to make a week of content out of this. Like the dude was inaccurate, period, and that's all the analysis you really need to understand this game.
Like Caleb Williams was kind of bad in this game, he was 16 of 32, exact same as J.J. McCarthy. Yards per pass was marginally better.
Hilarious.
Jesus Christ!
Are you kidding me?
And J.J. McCarthy seemed so much worse.
Because he was missing by yards.
I mean,
Justin
worse.
Jefferson's wide open on the sideline. I think a cheerleader caught it.
Yeah, actually, yes.
I think it was Jonathan Owens, who
the degree to which
is a player,
and also like Caleb Williams
Jesus.
is from a memory perspective anyway, is helped by like these spectacular like getting out of the getting out.
Yeah,
of
there's
the,
a lot
the
of
grass
throwaways in that.
and those are throwaways, right? Mostly, there's like a couple that turned into like positive yardage, and some that turned into negative yardage, but it looked cool, right? Like I'm glad you mitigated the loss. That's good. I would love for a quarterback to do that, but like from a highlight perspective, or at least from like the way you get to a 50% completion rate look different for these two quarterbacks, right? Like the way that you get to completing half of your passes by missing by 4 yards, and then now there's an interception, right? Or you held onto the ball too long, so you got hit as you were thrown, right? Which creates that's a take catastrophe, right? Because now everyone's like, well, I mean, he got hit. Like that's clearly on, Blake Brandel. And it's like, well, I don't want to defend the guy, but it's like one of these where you get like caught up, and that just feels bad. It's like walking through a tar pit. Whereas Caleb Williams, like, God, he's dancing. That's so cool. It was an incompletion, but that was so cool. So like from a memory perspective, it feels better.
The aesthetic of the incompletion.
Speaking of take catastrophe, I have an updated stat on the Vikings defense's inability to take the ball away. Next on the squad show. That's why they pay me the big bucks. We're brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is here. You might want to get invested in the Timberwolves because this Viking season is headed the wrong way. Well, you can invest emotionally. You can invest financially. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5 at FanDuel, get $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. You might put it on a nice NBA money line for that $5 and then get the $300, and then you can spread it across the app. You can live bet. There's comebacks all the time in the NBA. You can bet that. You can stack like rebounding props, assist props, player props, same game parlay, or just 2 words, Nas Reed. Had a great game last night. It's all at FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook app, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I've got a lot of egg on my face as well this week because I said it on our squad show. I said it on radio interviews. It just felt like there was some major positive regression about to happen for the Vikings from a takeaway perspective, and it felt like the negative regression.
They were close too.
Was again just like the Ravens game.
Yeah,
and it felt like the Bears could not keep the horseshoe going, right? And that's exactly what, the Bears win another 1-score game late where they played okay on offense.
What's nice about this, though, is that, I don't know if you were listening during the broadcast, but like several times at the beginning of the game, the announcer was like, well, I mean, people are going to talk about how the Bears haven't beaten anyone good. And like, who cares about that? And the great thing about this is that continues. They still haven't beaten anyone good.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This isn't even the best. I mean, I don't think this team beats the Raiders right now. Like,
oh no, I've watched. No, don't do that.
I don't know, man. What's Gino's completion percentage? What's his accuracy percentage, man?
We can agree.
They can't get out of their own way.
It would be another 3-0 game against the Raiders if it happened.
And hopefully a Nick Mullins appearance, right?
Just like last time. Right, yeah. Dobbs and Mullins.
Like a wrestling intro as he gets signed on the sideline.
The Vikings are stuck on 3 interceptions. I don't know. I can't even remember how old I was the last time they had one, but they are now on pace for a franchise low. A franchise low with 5 interceptions for the season. That is their current pace.
Well, as a turnover specialist, now departed from the Vikings, Cam Bynum said, life's a movie, and this is a horror show. So I think...
Yeah. He didn't specify what genre.
Yeah, he didn't say which movie,
Yeah. The 3 interceptions, 2 against Jake Browning, and then the 1 deep in the throes of the Chargers blowout that nobody cares about. Cool. Good job. The defense is playing very conservatively in coverage, which is part of it. The They've played a lot of mobile quarterbacks that can kind of neutralize pressure when they get it, which they have been generating pressure at a pretty good clip. But like that's part of it is, Jalen Hurts is safe with the ball. Caleb Williams has been really safe with the ball this whole year. That continued. And because they have such a reputation for a peanut punch, I'm going to guess everybody's going into their game against the Vikings saying, hey, make sure you keep it high and tight, keep that ball ready to go, cover it up when you feel contact, and don't get the ball punched out. Now, suddenly, the Vikings just get caught tackling high a ton, and they miss 20 tackles in the game. They tackle high so much. Everyone tackles high, from the D linemen to the safeties coming in. Isaiah Rodgers just comes in, doesn't even try to wrap up, just leads with all head and gets himself knocked out of the game for a couple of plays. They
under in college,
like
freezing.
They learned the wrong lessons from that Bengals game. I'll tell you what. They thought that they could just get away with being the peanut punch team all year long. Well, the other guys practice too, sometimes more than you do, and they can't get the fumbles anymore. So they now it's just kind of soft tackling, and they get blown back like that Romo Dunze play where he catches the ball, nobody touches him, he gets up and with no running start pushes 3 Vikings back. It's like, you're embarrassing.
This is all understandable and fair. I get what you're saying. The defense is still 8th in the NFL in EPA per play, a little bit lower in success rate. Obviously, the Bengals game still has its shadows, fingers engaged in this statistic. They're 4th in forcing opponent punts, which it speaks to, of course, right? The conservativeness of the defense. The defense is not performing at the level it did last year. Takeaways are a big part of the reason why, but it's still a good it's not a great defense. It's still a good defense, right? And so I think our primary frustration with the defense is that it's not helping out this abysmal offense enough, right? And that's kind of where it feels like it to me, because it's like, yeah, maybe for the money that they spent on this defense, they're not getting quite the output that you want. Sure. Right. But it's still a high quality defense that is confusing the crap out of these opposing quarterbacks. And it is putting quarterbacks to consistently have performances below their career average. Lamar Jackson had one of his worst performances over the past 3 years against the Vikings defense. 27 points. I know that sucks, right? But 2.08 points per drive, one of the worst points per drive and they had good field position in that game. Same thing with basically everyone but Justin Herbert. That includes, not Jalen Hurts, but basically everyone has had a below average game against this Vikings defense, except for 2 teams. And part of that is kind of the conservativeness with which the back end coverage plays. We talk about how conservative they are in coverage, and then we talk about how aggressive they are when they're tackling, and both of those things are bad, and we want them to maybe flip the switch. But I think if that happens, they just give up a ton of explosive plays through the air instead of on the ground, and then I know which ones I'd rather give up. So
just tackle better when you're coming in from space. If you're going to let them catch stuff in front of you and then trigger down and make the tackle.
There are improvements to be made. For sure.
Yeah.
But
that's all
not
it is.
My focus. Yeah.
But I agree that of course this is a minor issue when compared to the existential dysfunction of the offense, where you start asking, should we maybe be running a different scheme entirely? Should we throw everything out? Should we start firing guys? You're asking much more existential questions on offense. And the question we haven't asked yet is about Matt Daniels, who that special teams unit has been unprepared and terrible all season long.
Right?
He's got to go. I don't know if you bother doing it mid-season. It doesn't fix any.
He's going to get Maloof.
Change a lot.
I actually, you might get something doing it mid-season. It's so bad, both schematically and coaching-wise, that I just feel like if you just if you have a different brain approach it, obviously you can't install a ton of stuff, right?
What would change?
I mean, just basic points, right? They're very aggressive with the way that they block on kickoff returns, and that leads to, I think, some of these penalties. Not all of them.
Miles Price is having...
They're super passive and they get blown up, and then they hold.
Okay, that might be fair. I think what I mean is more, they're very aggressive about holding, right? They're very aggressive.
Yeah,
about
they don't know how to block. It's you can't teach somebody a D-back how to block in practice. He's working on coverages. You don't have time to do that. You needed to do that in August.
They need to it's like teaching offensive linemen to aggressively pass set so that they don't have to hold if they're passively pass setting. It's like that, right? Either way, I think you just need a different brain in there, and that could happen maybe at the end of the season, early in the season. Also, see if you could like pay Grant Dudinski see if you can tamper and pay Grant Dudinski a ton of money to come back. I think that might help.
Hey, you want a sacrificial lamb? Fire Wes Phillips and bring back Udinski as OC. That's a promotion.
Yeah, it's so easy, right?
Now they can't stop it.
Yeah, and then now nobody has to hold anyone else accountable. Kevin O'Connell is safe again.
You got your kind of we did something, and then you make a change at special teams coordinator.
Which Ben Gessling wrote this article about this guy. Of course, we had to bring him back.
Like, I would be pretty surprised at this point if they do not make a move on at special teams coordinator, unless things turn around. I mean, there's still 8 games left or 7 games left to have great special teams, and maybe they figured it out and they turned it around and it's all behind us. So there's still that runway to earn the job back. But at this point, I do feel like he's outside looking in and he has to earn the job back.
Heads are going to roll if this season does not have a dramatic turnaround. And at this point, what evidence would you have to say, oh yeah, I mean, we have to go 6-1, but yeah, we've shown signs we can come alive? No. Yeah. What makes one think that this team could finish with 10 wins? We will address whether the season is over and what radical steps may need to be taken. We'll also run down some of the wackier plays and moments from the game, just because that's always the most fun thing to do after a football game. The chat is fired up, predictably, here on the Squad Show, and we're glad you're with us. And please subscribe to Locked On Vikings, and please listen to Luke Braun all week. I'm sure that it will be passionate in the analysis Monday through Friday on the #1 sports podcast network. A lot of folks want heads to roll here. KOC and Kwesi mentioned the most. I think that's jumping the gun. I think that you always, with the equity they've built up, the people to take the fall would be Wes Phillips. It would be Matt Daniels. It would be assistants. You make personnel moves, maybe change the direction of your roster if you need to. KOC is not going to get fired.
Of course not.
Can I throw one more name on there? Right now, the QB coach's big development
McCown
resume is Bryce Young's rookie year and this.
Add Bryce Young, yeah.
We maybe we want a developmental conversation about Josh McCown.
But he played the sport. How could he be bad? Huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you played the sport, you definitely know everything about it.
Yeah, you're always good at coaching when you've played the sport.
I ran out of.
Sorry. Yeah, we ran out of steam on that.
Saying before the break that there's no evidence to suggest the Vikings are going to go 6-1 and make the playoffs. I think 10 probably is required to get you in this NFC. Maybe outside chance at 5, but probably 6. I don't like to declare seasons over until you've actually hit that amount of losses that will eliminate you. But it feels like this season, like your percentages are probably down to sub 1% to make the playoffs at this point. It feels like the season has now shifted into something different because of this result. Maybe that's for the better. I don't know.
We were already there. Let's be honest here. This is a team that is not like 4 and 6 seasons are not out. I remember very famously the 2016 Packers, but their motto to do it was run the table. So like that's what you have to do. And there's this disconnect between like, okay, as fans, we can acknowledge they've got like a 99% chance to miss the playoffs. They're missing the playoffs. And we can acknowledge that. And if you can't possibly bring yourself to watch a Vikings season that doesn't have a chance to make the Super Bowl or whatever, then I guess I will see you next August. But for the team themselves, they're not going to behave that way, and we shouldn't expect them to, and that's where the disconnect is. Yeah. It is super okay for you to go fire up the mock draft machine if that's what makes you happy, but don't expect the Vikings to be doing it and start shutting down their injured players until they're mathematically eliminated. And even then, playing for pride is something, especially for guys who are on contract.
Especially for incentives. That's a big part, but also especially for a team that has talked about the importance of winning culture and just culture in general and building a locker room. That generating those wins is significant to a lot of those players for both financial and cultural reasons. And then also 2 years from now, if KOC is fighting for his job, they're not going to give you the context of the record from previous years. You just get the record as part of your resume. And so like giving up is just going to hurt your ability to negotiate in the future, right? And so coaches don't want to operate that way either. So the team's not going to act like they're that the season is over. But I wouldn't behoove any Vikings fans. Like if you jump off this bandwagon now and then they win 5 in a row and you decide to come back on, great. Good for you, dude. That was an awesome move on your part.
We'll see you then. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like whatever you want.
Yeah,
but
you root for the story. You root for the fun. Like if the Vikings went on a generational run to end the season with this quarterback who figures it out overnight, he just clicks, and then they make the playoffs.
How fun would that be?
And win even if it's one playoff game, it would be a blast.
If they win a playoff, Jesus, that would be.
I mean, that would be like an all-time. I mean, that would start being compared to like 2016 Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
that would be that.
That would be like, hey, can we fire up a John Boyce video about this? This is nuts.
Like, yeah, that would be historic. And you know what? They have every opportunity to. Do they have a chance to? The chances.
Ball's in their court, right?
Yeah, right. But every game starts 0-0, and hey, we'll be here. If you want to be here, we'll be here.
Yeah.
If you can beat the Packers and Seahawks on the road, then your next 3 are Washington, Dallas, and New York. You get to go. You get to play the NFC East after that.
There you go. Yeah, hey, Packers are in a weird slump.
Sometimes you get fewer false starts on the road, right? So
yeah, they got it figured out.
Tom Brady also proud of his Minnesota heritage.
It's true, actually. Yeah,
that was awesome.
That was great.
Tom Brady is begging for Vikings fans to just be huge Tom Brady people, and it's working. Pander more, Tom. Please.
And also, he has been a much better broadcaster, in my opinion, over the past 3 weeks than he was last year, or like at any point prior to this. It's great.
Yeah. Good year 1 to year 2 improvement. Where was that, JJ?
Hey, what are you
doing? The defense needed to be elite this year, and maybe and it's the stories about the offense, but I think there were some, and I was among them, that said you had this well-oiled machine, to use a phrase from last year, that took the ball away and the vibes were high, and they still had weaknesses, and you improved on those weaknesses in theory, on paper, and you're probably worse on defense by virtue of not getting takeaways. Maybe it's break even in terms of scoring percentage against and yards and whatnot, but you don't take the ball away ever. So it feels a lot worse than it is. You needed that group to be top 5 to even attempt to mitigate for this atrocious offense. On a day, and we will revisit again where we started this show, you had 6 drops, arguably. How many other airmails did they have in key spots? They had an underthrow to Addison. They had another underthrow to Addison that should have been picked. Multiple overthrows to Jefferson, who is not containing his emotions well at this point.
Nor should he.
What was funny is I saw people praise him for not throwing his helmet in the 2 opportunities he did and merely slamming it down.
Merely slamming.
It's just like, you know what? I think when you put it like that, I kind of get where you're coming from, man.
People get so insane when they talk about how wide receivers behave, and I wonder why that is.
Hey, everyone loves Adam Thielen's fire. I don't know what's up with that.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Ask yourself what's up with that for you. That's an internal conversation you can have with you and your mirror.
I always like to figure out what were the big time throws. He was logged with 2 big time throws today per PFF. The touchdown to Addison.
Touchdown, probably, yeah.
Probably.
They usually log touchdowns if they're not freebies. They'll log that as big time throws.
Can they give you a big time throw if it was dropped? Because I thought the throw to Addison over the middle was a pretty big time throw.
That's probably the other one.
That might be it. So they have a deep center big time throw. I think that's the Addison one. And then they have an intermediate left big time throw, which I imagine is the touchdown.
Got to be, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's usually
big time throw to the left. We're back.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, because usually the big time throws are 20+ yards, but if they're touchdowns, they'll give you a little bit more leeway.
McCarthy today, under pressure, only 8 times pressured. I mean, kept like he was, for the amount he was kept clean, it makes the day even more inexcusable. Caleb Williams was blitzed 78% of the time, and
that rules. Keep it up.
Basically mistake free in those situations. A lot of throwaways. Defensively today, Dallas Turner leads the team in pressures.
Dallas Turner was flying, man. He did
what a
awesome.
Dallas Turner game, man. Right after
he loves the Bears.
Right after one, Luke Braun speculated that he was getting benched for Eric Wilson. Dallas Turner turns in a wonderful, fantastic.
Hey, Eric Wilson playing off the ball does more than he does at edge. Interesting. I wonder if that was obvious for a month.
Also, fulfilled the Jonathan Grenard role of not getting a sack, but getting multiple in the grasp pressures.
Javon Hargrave benched again. Got outsnapped 2-1 by Levi Drake Rodriguez, and then they gave up some run plays. I don't know what's happening there. Again,
and LDR
who are your starters?
Play well,
Brian. Who are the good players you want on the field? I don't get it.
Maybe he plays matchup defensive lineman, like the way that you play like wide receiver cornerback matchups.
53-25. That's very interesting.
Yeah, which at like what, 3 of the last 5 have been more Levi Drake than Hargrave. Like it's just weird. I don't know. But
there was the one Hargrave game not too long ago that was spectacular. It was such a great.
Lions just getting tired, like
of stuff.
Do you just need? Does he need a rest day or something?
Do it. Give him rest days. I don't care. It's not when he's resting on the bench. Might as well give him rest days.
I mean, it's so weird how it flips around. Maybe it is a matchup thing, but like that's a lot of investment for a guy that you don't want to put in against a team that has like any semblance of a run game.
Football games usually have a whole collection of moments where you look back, you circle them, you mark them, you forget about them because so many other moments happened. This was a football game that was devoid of a lot of interesting moments because of the quarterbacks were a combined 50%. There were not a lot of penalties or reviews on which to harp.
Like the biggest gripe was that Kevin O'Connell had to challenge the drop, and I mean he got it. So
he got it out. They just went to the ball too fast for replay assist, and O'Connell didn't trust it, so he threw the flag. Which replay assist get faster, but that's just what it is.
You got against me, dude. You put an F in replay assist.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't put Fs where they don't belong.
The Vikings are 4-6, so again. They fall. They could have been 1 game back of the Bears with a chance to pull 1 game back of the Packers next week. Now they're 3 games back of the Bears. Don't know about the tiebreaker at this point, but it's 1-1 in the season series. So you are all but out of this division.
Sam,
Lions
you just got to score.
Starting to think they won't win the NFC North.
You just got to score 5 touchdowns. You just got to score 5 touchdowns.
We're at that point where it's possible, but boy, I do think they have the tiebreaker though because the Bears lost to the Lions and the Vikings beat the Lions.
Right. Well, I mean, until the Lions again.
Whoa,
but
boy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh my goodness! I slammed the table.
Sam down.
I was trying to start a win out chant, and that happened. That about
okay. Well,
that
seems like an omen, I guess.
That about. Hello.
Oh no!
We got a screw loose. Sam fainted. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. No, that's just not what the season. We're not going to be like watching playoff odds on Thanksgiving this year, and that's just what it is. It's been that way, I think, honestly, since like week 2, and it's just been, okay, this team doesn't know what they're doing. Let's see if JJ gets better as the season wears on, and it turns out also, nope.
Yeah, I do feel vindicated for my history of season-long JJ takes, though. That at least is good. That's the silver lining of the season.
Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for waiting for a few more games. And in a future scenario where there's some extreme result happening in 2 games, I'm going to be like, okay, let's wait a couple more before we lock this baby in, and I'm fine with that.
So what is the hope then for the next 7? If not making the postseason, which is fading, it's in the twilight, almost dead. what's the next 7 games you hope to see progress?
Good football.
I guess.
You know, like the end of year 2, Bryce Young, where they were out of it, but like, whoa, they're kind of beating some teams they shouldn't beat, and they actually maybe have some. That's kind of what you want.
Yeah, Bryce Young is like the perfect kind of the second half of, and also like a lot of second half of Geno Smith seasons with New York, but Bryce Young finished with a slightly above average production for like the second half of that season. That's kind of what you're hoping for here. Like, I don't think it's realistic to think that suddenly he turns into last year's Jaden Daniels or something like that, right? But I think it is realistic to kind of hope that in the final frame of the season that we see like some pretty positive play, which it's difficult given how volatile the offense is and how he plays within the offense for you to produce like just merely above average and not have extremes on the other side. But I think that's where you want to land. Right. I think that would be kind of where you can hang your hat on and build your hopes, because I think primarily the two issues are, right, how quickly he moves off to that first read, which sometimes is too fast. Like we talk about it being too slow.
Rushing.
Yeah. So sometimes it is too fast. Often it is too slow. If he does it within the appropriate frame, because I don't think it's his like cognitive processing or eye speed. I think he's just not understanding what needs to happen, and that could happen. And then also resolve the footwork problems, which are often fine at the beginning of games and then get worse at the end of games, right? Or actually even just midway through the game, right? And if he can kind of nail those things down, that's the path to producing acceptable quarterback performances that you then can kind of build your hope around.
Yeah, well stated. Today, the plays were there. The script was well conceived and not executed.
The receivers were so open, dude.
By the quarterback.
Yeah. It's such a bummer. Like what we came out of last week talking about with like false starts and disorganization and the play calling on 3rd and short and all that, they addressed every single one of those things. And if you want a reason for hope, like you will often hear in angry chats like this, why don't they ever change anything? They're so stubborn and everything.
They're changing things all the time.
They made a ton of adjustments and they were all right. Just new problems happen now we got to deal with those, and that's gonna, I think, be what the whole year
whack-a-mole.
It's been whack-a-mole all year.
They've been changing things the entire season, and we've been asking, like a lot of people have been asking, but they do, and like we resolved some of the operational problems. New operational problems popped up, right, and they resolved those, and now you have an inaccurate quarterback. Okay, fix that next.
Here's the thing, it's
maybe
probably
it's his hand.
Maybe it is his hand.
Like, honest to God.
That's the copium. This is some of the worst.
It is not unreasonable to think that the worst accuracy game where he had a thing on his throwing hand, like, we probably shouldn't dismiss that.
No,
the Vikings won't make those excuses, but we probably shouldn't dismiss that outright.
I super think that's real, right? I think that that's genuine, but like, it's not like he's earned the benefit of the doubt. And I understand
that's the thing.
Yeah. People don't want to hear it, and I get that, but I do think that that's real. It made a below average quarterback bad or a bad quarterback worse, right? That's probably what happened.
That was our early commentary on McCarthy through one or maybe even the second game. I can't remember the Atlanta game as much. Was that there's there's some tough stuff happening, but the accuracy is pretty good. That was what we thought early, and now that's gone. Hand could play a factor.
Yeah, and the mental stuff was better, and the accuracy got worse. But at least that shows a potential, a capability to improve at things, rather than the same exact thing killing him every single time. Like, okay, this was an inaccuracy game, the other one was a timing game, and like there's a lot of problems. That's the thing that concerns me the most, is how long the list of problems is, and that's what leads to those really bad production things. You can only fix one problem at a time, which means you're not going to get into year 2 and have all these problems fixed. You hope for some of them, but there's still going to be a QB with problems. And then you start having the patience conversation.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but sometimes solving some problems does create new problems.
For sure.
It might be moving forward, right? You might be in a better spot than you were before, but it can create new problems. And I think people are very impatient with that. Again, I understand. There's 17 games in the season. You want to win now. You're a football fan. You're not obligated to understand that. But if you're asking for like things to happen and they are happening, at least realize that that's what's occurring, is that you're solving some problems that, every solution in football usually comes with a trade-off of some sort. That trade-off has created new problems, and they're having to solve those problems. I think it's like a lot of people are like, oh, McCarthy's injury prone, and I super understand why you'd say that. Every injury so far has been like pretty different and distinct. And so I'm not that concerned about his injury history. But I get why you would be. And so I think that's kind of where we're at, is that there's some like things that are working here. Every game has a different disaster script. And like, at least we're watching a different disaster movie every time, I guess. But that means that we're kind of running out of plot threads, hopefully, right? And the movie can be written a little bit better going forward.
I just looked up Daniel Jones' projected free agency market value. That's Christ. Where we're at.
No way did they ever let him out of that building.
It would be very funny if the Vikings really tried to poach that.
You know who's coming in for competition? The chat's been on this. Who's
Zach
coming
Wilson?
in for competition? No, Anthony Richardson. Kevin loves him.
It's Anthony. Yeah, it's Anthony Richardson.
They're going to cut Richardson. They're going to extend Daniel Jones. Roll with that. They've already. Yeah. I mean, they already made the Sauce Gardner trade. They're clearly trying to solidify what they got going on right now. Yeah, everybody in the chat, by the way, who is saying that it can't get worse, and I'm sure some of you listeners at home are also thinking, like, God, it can't possibly get worse. Have you never seen the Vikings before? Of course it can get worse.
It can always get worse.
50% completion? Last week's 47% completion.
It can always get worse. What's so bad about throwing Brosmer out there? It could get worse. That's what's so
because
bad
it could get worse. You know what? What about this game, but without the fourth quarter drive that made you feel kind of good?
What about this game plus 2 more interceptions? What do you want?
You know what's worse than 4 and 6? Like 10 teams in the league. If you think it can't get worse, challenge your imagination.
Also, the Vikings are an every other year organization, apparently, and this is the off year.
Anthony Richardson's going to ball out so much next
year. Next year's the on year, baby.
My God, I'm going to dust
are all back.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Let's remember.
I got a pre-draft Anthony Richardson video that I'm going to start posting again.
You're going to catch every deflected ball in the secondary.
The thing is, it's still going to be a 50% completion rate, but this time it'll be 10 yards an attempt because that's just how Anthony Richardson plays.
Yeah, right. For 388.
Yeah, right.
Viking SWAT Show, Mondays, Thursdays, after the games. Back tomorrow. Luke Inman should join that episode as we continue to break down the Vikings' 19-17 loss to the Chicago Bears and where to go from here. Passionate chat today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and subscribing. We appreciate all of you. For Arif Hasan, Wide Left, Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings, I'm Sam Ekstrom saying see ya on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed.